Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg. It is the 8th day of November 2024, and welcome to our show today. First off, I've got my buddies, my off-the-grid buddies on here, and we're going to be talking about preparedness. And then after that, citizen journalists with Christina Holbrook, Melissa Fryzel, and Chris Deal, the big deal, American Security. We have a lot to talk about right now. And I'm going to bring my buddies on because I think that we need to talk about some I want to ask you guys, do you like that format better or this one?
Oh, either one.
The first one I can see you a little bit better on mobile because you look larger.
All right, we'll do that one. So welcome, guys. I love you guys, and I'm always glad to see you. I think we started talking because we're all friends. So we were talking about some concerns we had before we came on this morning, including the fact that we need to continue to prepare because everything is there right now for a collapse. When I had the Kevin Shipp on, the ex-CIA guy, he was talking about it very, very absolutely pointedly to get prepared. I think it almost feels like this weird calm has happened right now. And people are sitting here going, I don't want to move because I don't know which way to go, because we know the election was rigged, even though our guy got in. And this is going to be an unpopular thing for a lot of people to hear. I absolutely I voted for President Trump. I am an absolutely unapologetic Trump supporter. And the reason why I voted for President Trump is because his rights were violated. And our duty as Americans is to defend people whose rights were violated, and also all the American people who had their votes absolutely disregarded, diluted, rigged. It was rigged in 2020, and you know what? It was rigged in 2024. And I am super concerned right now, and I'm just going to put this out there. And I think we're going to have to do an investigation, even though that's going to get a lot of pushback from people because, yay, our sports team won. We didn't win. We did not win unless we actually won and all votes were counted, whether we agreed with people or not. And if we're that confident that President Trump won, which I am, why wouldn't we do an investigation to absolutely prove it? Because I believe he won by a huge margin, more than what they showed. But we were slaughtered in the down ballot races. And we were slaughtered in the fact that almost all the judges in Kent County here were Whitmer appointees, and they ran unopposed. If we don't start addressing this and ask the questions like, why did they run unopposed? Why were there I think maybe one race that had a judge candidate? Were they threatened? Were they coerced? How
many judicial candidates were thrown off the ballot by the Board of Elections before they even got to the primary? And how many of them were thrown off at the primary?
Exactly. This whole thing was rigged, and they killed us in the local races. Our township supervisor and our township clerk have been harassing the living crap out of me. They've been alleging things and that were untrue. The township hit a tax bill. The county just came up and hit a tax bill on me. I am literally getting the ever living crap harassed out of me by people that ran unopposed. We are going to get slaughtered in the judicial races. We are going to get slaughtered in the township or in the school board races that went out. It was absolute a bloodbath in those areas. I'm not sure. Did Mike Rogers win? Because I heard that he didn't, and that he didn't win, did he?
I heard he didn't.
I've heard conflicting reports on it.
Well, let's see if we can figure out if Mike Rogers won or not. Because if he didn't win, then somebody better be stepping up to contest this and not just say, yay, President Trump won. And so we're going to turn our backs on the rest.
That's what the majority of people are doing. It's like they're totally clueless still. The vast majority of the population is clueless.
Well, people wanted so badly to celebrate something that they're not looking up and seeing that the skies are turning green. You know, I get that we want to celebrate. I think that the only thing we can really celebrate is the fact that the people participated and showed that they want change. They're aware of things, and a lot of people did work to defend the election to the best of their ability. Those are things that we can celebrate. But I'm not celebrating a quote unquote win like I didn't celebrate a quote unquote lose. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose if the election wasn't proper.
How is it that the worthless Republicans are conceding, if this is the case, that Mike Rogers concedes to Slotkin in the Senate race, because yay, we got our sports team, President Trump in. That's great. His rights needed to be defended. But if this is something that basically is a Trojan horse, why did they let him win? Because they slaughtered us in the down ballot races. This is where we are going to have a heap of hurt with this until we sit there and defend this on the basis of what it is to be an American. And let's see how many Republicans say, hold the phone, wait a minute. This is exactly like what we saw with that worthless Tudor Dixon who conceded before the votes were counted.
Yeah, the Republicans.
Besides that, Donna, I want to know how many Republicans who won are going to say, I demand an audit. I demand a recount. I demand an examination. I haven't heard any of that. Have you?
None. And that's the thing. I had somebody that told me yesterday, I said, you have to fight this. You won this race. There's no way that the gaps were there the way that they were. It's impossible. And they're like, no, I guess I'm done. And I'm like, you're not done. And if you are done at this point in time, and don't look into this just because our sports team won, we are absolutely in worse shape than we were before the election. And I mean in absolute worse shape before the election.
It's no better of an opinion than the people that were saying that it wasn't cheated last time because their candidate won. It's no better.
No better. We're no better, and we're in no better shape right now because it's like, how do we know? Okay, I'm going to say something that I was actually encouraged not to say, but fuck it. I'm going to say it. And I am going to play the fuck it card right now and blow the warning shot right here across the bow. Because I'm going to tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, that I have not seen President Trump in public in over 2.5, maybe 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to that rally and everybody was yay, 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 and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything because the night before the election, I'm not going to say anything because we're going to let this thing play out. But quite honestly, there's not a snowball's chance in hell that was the real President Trump. The speech patterns were different. The height is different. He's taller than that. There's no way in hell a guy who is almost 80 years old is doing 4 rallies like that in a day. His hands look different. When I look at his hands, his hands look different. When I looked into Don Jr.'s eyes, both there and when I was 5 feet away from him at another event, I saw a supreme sadness, incredible sadness that this man has. There's no joy in his eyes. It's sadness, and it's deep sadness. So what is going on here? Because I don't know. I don't really know what's going on, but I can't settle on this. Mm-hmm. I just feel an incredible heaviness. Oh shit, what's going on? But we're being lied to some way along the line. And I'm telling you right now, we're being lied to. And if we don't jump on this election and see what's happening, they slaughtered us and down. Why did they let him win? To shut us up.
I think you're asking the same questions I've been asking for a while. And then I ask the question and then I go, okay, well, but if we're going to keep pretending with the show. This is what I think about the show. We're all talking about the show. You're watching a show. Okay, well, where's Biden? Where's Trump? Where's Pelosi? Where's Whitmer? Where's yada, 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 yada? What, and I'm trying not to cuss, is going on?
I'll say it. The fuck.
Forget the election. Are you kidding me? The election means nothing. Who gave the oath? Where's the guy that gave the oath? Which one of those Trumps gave the oath? Because I've seen different Trumps. There's golfer Trump, there's Mar-a-Lago Trump, there's rally Trump, there's interview Trump, there's a guy that poses with people with his thumbs up. I can tell the difference between these guys. I give them nicknames when I share the pictures of them.
There's Trump with the Maine accent, there's Trump with the North Dakota accent, there's Trump with the Nebraska accent.
How do we sit back and pretend like this is anyway normal? We go, well, it's for safety. I get that, but then who's the guy actually in control? Who is in control of our country? If it's not Biden, who is it? Well, it's not Obama, people.
Yeah. And another thing too is that everybody's going on about how all of these wars around the world are ending just because Trump was elected. And the thing that it brings to mind for me is, okay, if just the mere threat of one person changing over in a government in the world is enough to make all of these other people stand down, then we've already got a one world government.
Mm.
Ooh, you said it.
Well, I want to know, where's Obama? These people that are talking about, well, they were arrested and sent to Gitmo, and we have absolutely no evidence of that. And they get stuck on that idea. Well, then who's the actor? How do you get actors for all these people that look so close to them? I've never seen a doppelganger of Karen. I've never seen, except in a dream. I had a dream with Donna that there was a doppelganger of Donna, but it looked nothing like Donna, and it freaked me out.
No, I think
and I was like, that's not going to work.
Donna's got that doppelganger of you right on her desk.
I do. Look at that. Right here. There you go. With the hands. That's
if we're not, I mean, these are really big questions, and they go well above the level of who won the election.
Yeah.
But I think that the people, we're talking about how can you tell the difference between the two pictures I shared yesterday with a supposed JFK Jr. and Trump. And people are like, he's alive. And I'm like, you are so stupid. Because nobody is going to believe anything you say when your discernment is so pathetic that you immediately jump to believe a fake photo. And you're talking about this garbage about somebody being alive that died years ago. And even if they're right, what does it mean? What does it mean to everything else in reality? Nobody's going to believe anything you have to say, even when you're right. It's just like the Mel Gibson movie Conspiracy Theory, where he had all the conspiracy theories, but he was right on ones that mattered. And
all right, so I got to show you guys
my theory.
All right, and so I got to show you this. So I was at Turning Point in Detroit, and I sat in there for 5 minutes, and I walked out because I could tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that was not President Trump. And I want you to look at the height here between Charlie Kirk and President Trump, right? It's probably a little bit shorter than Charlie Kirk, and I could see it. Plus, I believe that you pointed it out. The accent was completely different. He had a different accent, and you can. So what we're seeing is
was it Bostonian? I'm just teasing.
I want to look up Charlie Kirk height because I think he's like 6 foot. Let me see. I don't believe he's 6'4", but I'll look at him. We'll see how tall he is. So 6'3.5". So I might be wrong on this one, but it was really All right, so I'm going to have to back out of that one. I might be wrong on that one. But the accent was wrong. I mean, everything about this was like, it was like, I can't come to terms with this, because you're seeing people at different heights, different height advantages, different way they speak. And it's like you said, Karen, there are multiple doubles out there. And I'm just so disheartened by this.
If the people can't recognize that, like you and I can, and question it publicly, like you and I have, are they ready to question why?
Are they ready to question
and who's in control?
If we're wrong about this, okay, hang on a minute. I've got yeah, it's coming up as that. If we're wrong about this, then so be it. We proved it out because we were brave enough to ask the questions.
Right.
I mean, it is really a tough thing to be brave enough to ask the questions that nobody wants to have you ask. What's wrong with asking questions? If you prove it out, like the fact that in that photo, yes, they're about dead even, so that's a dead argument right now. And I'm okay with it. As long as we have that answered, dead argument, that's fantastic. But if we're let me see, I've got some more here. Well, actually, this picture is kind of interesting because we got to look at different camera angles. So shorter than Charlie Kirk, who's 6'3", President Trump is supposed to be closer to 6'4". There's still a disparity there.
It's like yesterday, I was listening yesterday when you were mocking the idea that a plane could hit the tower, and he said, well, actually, I have evidence about that. And you were repeatedly saying, okay, well, if I'm wrong about that, if you show me the evidence, I'm okay being wrong. And I think people should respect that about you.
Well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But look at, he is, and it could have been the camera angle there, but this Trump is shorter than Charlie Kirk. And it just, from what I could see, and I think it needs to be answered. I really, really do, because there's so much going on that I don't know. I'm just not settled with it, but I can tell you they cheated their ever living behinds off in this last election. And we are not doing our duty if we don't chase all this down and just have our questions answered. I want my questions answered. I want to know why we didn't have anybody running against these judges. I want to know why.
Why hasn't Trump said anything about it?
Got in, and as a township supervisor,
he's not Trump, David.
What's that?
If he's not Trump, he's not going to be asking questions like this. He's waiting for us to ask the questions. You were wondering, well, yesterday in the chat, well, does Trump know about this, the 9/11 thing? Well, yeah, I think he knew that from day one. He's like Donna. He's an intelligent guy. I think he knew New York City. I think he knew exactly what was going on for a long time. And I think he got all the proofs about a lot of things that we have been asking questions about. He knows enough if he's still alive. But again, so is that we can ask questions which are relevant like that. But if Trump isn't even here, then it's an irrelevant question. If half of the people on the ballot are not the real people because they've got some kind of double in their place, as far as the public knows, then the election is irrelevant, completely irrelevant. I think we have to go through this process, this show, and pretend along with it, because what else have we got right now? Because somebody or something is forcing us to do that.
Yeah.
But nobody shot me down for asking this question for a while. So like Donna, I'm going to keep asking the question, and maybe the public never knows, but I'm like you, Donna. I sure would like to know what the truth is. Somebody give me a call and set me aside and say, it's okay. This is what's really going on, Karen.
Okay. So Karen, look at this, but see this picture right here? He is shorter than Charlie Kirk, which puts him at this picture at maybe 6'1", maybe. And so who the hell are we looking at here? And it's like, I don't know, guys. I really think that we need to be asking some questions here, because I just, God forbid that anything would happen to President Trump. All right. I am a supporter of President Trump, but there's some questions I have, because I just have some serious questions. Here's another one.
I think
look at the height.
It's not so much
the height.
It's not so much about what would happen to him as, is it possible something already did?
Yeah.
Right. What does Tori say about it, David? David, what does Tori say about it?
She hasn't mentioned it at all. She's the only thing that she's been harping on since the election is the riots. These riots that they're organizing. I think on Saturday they're starting.
This Saturday they're starting?
Yeah, Chicago, New York, big cities.
And that leads us into, off the grid. This is the time when this becomes important. We've talked about preparedness. Well, you've got a limited amount of time to get prepared while all of the systems are currently running. Now is the time to do that.
Yeah, they're not going down without a fight.
They're not, and it's just,
or maybe they didn't even go down. They stole the election again.
Yeah.
So once again, we'll talk about the show, and we'll work within it, because that's what we got. And I think it's good for us, because I don't see overall harm to our country based on the show. So whatever is going on, I think it's in our best interest. Let's say what if something happened to Trump and Trump has died? Let's say we need a Trump, a representative of the people, to cause us to do all these things that we've done in a positive direction. So okay, we go along with the show for now.
Well, and I think that the main thing is that we need to support America as the policies, not a nation of men, but of laws. And that's why I voted on Election Day, because, and I had a discussion last night. I'm like, I'm sorry. I think that it was a test. I really do. Not to follow somebody telling you what to do, but following the law. It's Election Day as stated in the Constitution. And I don't care if President Trump told you, he gave everybody the choice to take the jab.
Right.
It's like your choice. The choices were in front of you, and you can choose to do what you want. You can choose to follow the law or follow a person. And and I'm sorry, but if somebody tells you if he tells you to jump off a bridge, you're going to follow him. It's like, there's a point where you have to make your own decisions up and to decide, are you willing to win at all costs? Or are you going to follow the law and stand on principle? The principle that I chose to stand on was following what's in the Constitution, which is absolutely that it is Election Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to stand on that. And for me to defend President Trump for voting for him, everybody has the right to their own opinion, and I would support anybody's way of thinking on this. I'm not going to criticize it, but I'm also going to say that I voted for President Trump to defend him as an American, because his rights were violated, because they cheated in the 2020 election. And now magically, what's really funny is watch how the Democrats now are like, dang, maybe they're right. Maybe we did steal the election in 2020. And somebody said, I'm so embarrassed. It's like, yeah.
And those are the people that we need to go out and, reach out and contact to have them help us now to join this fight, because it was always their fight. But now they may be able to actually join us and help, to try and get the integrity back into the system.
Right. There is none. When you look at the fact that they stopped counting at, I think Leb said it last night, that they stopped counting at 10:30 election night, and they started it back up 10 minutes later. We had vans with ballots that were showing up. We had their ability to print off ballots without the little tear strip or numbers. They were just printing them off.
Yeah, they didn't even care.
It's like,
did you listen to President Trump's plan on the deep state he put out yesterday?
I did not.
I'm going to send it to you. It's pretty powerful.
Well, and maybe there's a plan here to make sure that this is going in the right direction via the military or via, we just don't know. That's the question, or that's the point. And I do think we just need to keep asking questions and not just say, okay, day's done, gonna go home, we're done, President Trump's gonna fix everything and our jobs are over.
Well, that's pretty much the way everybody's thinking. I had to text it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, don't let your guard down.
No.
Right. Where was this, David?
I just texted it to you guys.
I'm looking at it's on Tory's.
I think he's poking the bear with a stick in this. It's really powerful.
Oh, that's cool. Let's play it a minute. I'll put it on my Telegram channel and put G video up. Well, I'm glad we're going through this and actually talking about it. And I'm sorry if it makes people upset, but these are questions. I'm not trying to undermine anything. I just want the freaking truth.
Mm-hmm.
Plan to dismantle.
Okay, here we go. And the truth is they cheated on this election too.
The deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively.
Is that in 2023?
All of the
I think it was just out yesterday.
Well, I heard that there was one going around that was being circulated again, but it was actually from 2023. So I don't know if that's a new one or an old one.
Well, let's see.
Corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every inspector general's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. It doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on. It is taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma.
That's a massive problem with the FCC.
To oppose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this could have been from 23, Karen. But
That's
interesting that it's circulating yesterday like crazy.
Well, again, I guess you could say that's an example of people using their discernment, because they just share it, and whoever started it didn't put a date with it. Maybe they did that on purpose, and it's not irrelevant regarding Trump's interest in what he had planned to do at one point. Maybe he's planning to do the exact same thing, but are we sharing things with regard to those details of when, who, how? And again, which Trump is that? That's shiny tooth Trump. That might be a digital version of Trump, because he's always dark and kind of blurry. And
well, if we could just think about, like, is it true that it's a wartime president, that the military's in control, that the military can certainly use AI to recreate Trump in these speeches and things like that with holograms and stuff? And is this like the final push that we're going to be able to catch the bad guys? So they're doing everything they can to provoke them, get them marching on the streets, rioting, get the very last that we can get.
I pray to God that's true. I really do.
That could possibly be what's going on. And that's why certain videos like this circulating, just like people are like, if I was in the deep state, or, working in the Washington government or federal government or state government, and this video, I saw it, I'm just like, I'm going to be freaking out right now. I'm just like, what can I do? Because I'm going down in a few months. And it flushes them out.
That video is so inspiring, though. It's like, he's saying what we all want.
Yeah.
We want our democracy back, huh?
Yeah, except that one, because it's not a democracy, it's a republic. But it's like the other things that he said, though, it's what we want. We want things to be right. And
there was something that came out yesterday that for sure that was talking about how they can see what they're doing even without the spy tools. Did you see that?
No. Where was that? I was traveling yesterday. I was actually at a school, a very innovative school, and watching how they set up their education program. It's over in Romeo, Michigan, and it's really impressive. It was impressive. I had a couple of things that I've been processing there of concern, but overall it's extraordinarily well done. And we were there kind of as an advisory role, and brought up some things, and we're talking, and they were really excited to hear, to hear some other ideas and to share their ideas. Doing a really good job.
Yeah, one thing that I was talking about recently, I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday about how some of the policies that we are currently running under have really pushed this country from being away from the Republican form of government and into closer to a democracy. One of those being the direct election of senators. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, we're supposed to be electing the people that are supposed to be electing the senators. And you've also got the apportionment of the electors to the Electoral College. The president is not supposed to be elected by popular vote. The Electoral College wasn't even intended to be elected by popular vote. As I recall, there's some flexibility there as to how the states are supposed to, assign their electors to the Electoral College, but the original intent does not seem to be anything like what we currently have. There's supposed to be a time delay to a lot of this stuff, and we've lost that.
I think also, Ralph, we were talking about that the other day, and I was thinking too, Trump keeps talking about everything he's going to do on day one. And I'm listening to this and I'm hearing about these executive orders and stuff. And I'm like, he doesn't have that authority. He doesn't have that authority. And we're all like, well, yeah, he's going to do so many things. It's wonderful. If he doesn't have the authority, then we should be checking him.
He can under a military control.
But if the people don't know that, if the people don't know the truth, then the people have to do with it what they can, like the election. You participate in the election is to the best of your ability because that's all you got. But if you don't know that we are under something other than what we have been provided in the Constitution, then we have to act upon the Constitution and tell them that's not okay.
And even in a military capacity, they don't have the right to suspend constitutional powers and rights.
Yep.
Oh, I think they do.
I think we have 43 declared emergencies right now, which could trigger like 150 some odd others that are related. If somebody wanted to actually work that angle, kind of interesting.
And again, Donna, like you were questioning before, if those emergency declarations were made by someone who is put into office illegally with an illegal election, do those things count? Does the 14th Amendment count? I've enjoyed using it for first article right expressions, but I've heard that it was never actually completed and accepted properly. I don't have evidence on that. I can't find it. But that's what I've heard by someone who was smarter than me. But I can't believe a lot of things that he said now anyway. But you mentioned the other day the 16th being inappropriate. How can you throw out what was done illegally when some of it that was done illegally is also good? How can you tell Trump or whoever that is in charge, no, you can't do that executive order, even though we really like the idea of it? And
now,
how do we as a people even say that? Because is he going to listen to that? Is he going to not do something?
Now, one thing I guess I would argue on, on that point too, is that a lot of the things that he talked about in that video are legitimate uses for an executive order, because a lot of those things apply to federal agencies which don't have a right to exist, but we allow them to for some reason, that are under the executive branch. And technically, executive orders should be able to be enacted properly upon the executive branch. He is the chief executive of the executive branch, and therefore those orders should be valid. Where they aren't valid is when an executive order exceeds the boundaries of the authority of the executive branch and the executive office.
It doesn't go to the people. You can't make an order on the people, just the staff.
Yep.
That's pretty much what it's constrained to.
And when we look at this and say, oh, we agree with these executive orders, whether they're legal or not, we agree with them, so we're not going to fight them. Well, that may be all well and good temporarily, but that also means that you've granted that power to whoever holds that office. And that office is going to change, and it's going to eventually change to someone that you don't like. So if you don't defend the proper process on that, then you've got, you're setting yourself up for future problems.
So here's a letter that David, you sent this to me, and my friend Robert Cowper sent it to me this morning. Memorandum to all departments of defense personnel. Message to the force. Our fellow citizens have elected the next president of the United States. The department will make a common, orderly, and professional transition to the incoming Trump administration. As it always has, the U.S. military will stand ready to carry out the policy choices of its next commander-in-chief and to obey all lawful orders from its civilian chain of command. The U.S. military will continue, in the words of our Constitution, to provide for the common defense. The U.S. military will also continue to stand apart from the political arena to stand guard over our republic with a principle and professionalism, and to stand together with the valued allies and partners who deepen our security. Americans, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and guardians swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that is precisely what you will continue to do. You are not just any military, you're the United States military, the finest fighting force on the earth, and you will continue to defend our country, our Constitution, and the rights of all of our citizens. I'm deeply proud of all of you, of our dedicated civilian workforce, and of the brave American troops stationed at home and deployed around the world to keep our country safe and our republic secure. I love that. I think this is just an outstanding,
This is a big clue, to me.
Huge.
Like, they don't do this. Okay. This doesn't happen normally, but if you take this and you put it with President Trump's favorite chart that he always points to, this is when I left office, which is in April. Maybe he truly did release the control of the presidency to the military. And here's the military saying that they're going to transition back to Trump.
So I do have a question.
I want to examine this. I want to examine the source. I don't have a link for that on a website where it's posted or anything like that. So it could be absolutely true and factual, but I've seen letters that were faked before too. So that I'm just saying we have to ask on stuff like that.
I'd also
and that's
like to
not
know
a bad thing.
what time of day on the 6th this was posted, and how this managed to be officially entered into the record, how it was possible for this to be officially entered into the record, potentially before Kamala conceded, and certainly before the vote was actually certified by anybody.
Yeah.
It was on Reuters. U.S. military ready to carry out lawful orders of next Trump administration.
Well, this is how you get her done as researchers. I love this. This is really fun. And, it's like, I think it comes down to right now is whether you believe the good guys are in control or nefarious actors are in control. I personally believe the good guys are in control. I absolutely do, because I believe that God is in control of this. And even for one person's faith, he will save a nation. He's said it. He's proved it over and over again. And so, I mean, and I think there's an awful lot of us who've been praying for the nation, who have gone before God and said, please help us. And I believe he's faithful. I really do. We may see some things being cleaned out while we go, but I do believe that. And so we can see all these things, ask the questions, and I think we need to ask the questions. I don't think we should just be stupidly quiet here and go, yay, everything's great, lulled to sleep, yada yada. It's like, no, I want my questions answered, and I'm not going to fall in line and just shut up and not ask them, because until we have the system righted, we need to continue to diagnose what's wrong and work towards what it should be, because we're still off the rails. They've cheated. Bam.
I'm with you. I think things are good, whoever is in control. But the choice to know will be yours. I choose to know.
Me too. Our guy got in. I'm very happy. Yay. I'm so happy that, I'm happy that we righted that wrong, and that he was voted in, right? But I want to know exactly to the last cent on the the balance sheet here, what actually happened. I want to see the paper trail. I want to see that the entire election was correct and honest, and there was integrity there, all the way to the most down ballot candidate. I want to know that everybody's vote counted, and that we're not just going to get slaughtered in a selected judicial the selected judicial races. And I mean, how many times have we heard that that's the way they were going to take us down? I think Soros said it through the judicial branch. So if he can get in there and clean it out, I mean, he's our guy. I mean, he's I don't know. I'm really hoping and praying. I will support him. I will support the choice of we the people, no matter which way it goes at this point in time. And I don't know, just lots to process here, I guess.
But this is why that I try not to get too emotional. I do get stressed like everybody else. I do have moments where I'm happy. Most of the time I'm happy about things, but also it's easier to not get caught up in the swings of emotions if you're constantly keeping the big picture in mind. And for me, it's like, yay, the fake president won in the fake election and the fake government. Okay. Well, I keep my emotional distance from it because I don't want to invest too much in something that I don't believe 100% in. It hurts when you get let down, or you find out that something's not right, something's not what you believed. And that's why I'm also trying to be kind and compassionate toward those people who really thought that Harris was the best way to go, and now they're caught in a real bad place. I mean, some of these people are in fact suicidal because of their beliefs. And boy, that's
well, if you were watching MSNBC and CNN for the last 8 years, then you are totally brainwashed. You think Trump is the devil, you know? It's terrible.
Well, yeah, and the thing of it is that right now they're actually looking at this and going, wow, I know how they felt in 2020. Maybe they were right. Maybe we did steal the election, says the Democrat or the progressive or whatever, the Marxist, whatever you want to say. Maybe this isn't the best way to go. And
I think it's really interesting. Did you guys stay up to watch the election? Stay up the whole time?
I said, Jesus, take the wheel. I'd been working my tail off and it was absolutely exhausted. Said, I'm going to bed. Jesus, take the wheel. And I slept I literally slept for, I think I went to bed that night at 8 o'clock or 8:30, and I never got up until 6:30 the next morning.
Wow. Well, if you were watching it, it was very strange. I mean, how they called it for President Trump, because certainly CNN, NBC, none of those other stations, they wouldn't even call half the states. You know, they were like shocked when it happened. If you could see their faces, they're like, what is going on here?
Yes.
It's like, because they're the ones that normally call the races, and they refused to do it. And then I think Fox did it, and Trump came on live at like 2:33 in the morning, and they were like caught off guard. The station's like, somebody else called the race or stopped it, or somebody intervened. Something happened because they were cheating, and they wouldn't call these races, you know, when you knew that Trump was going to win.
I was watching on Badlands Media, which was kind of fun, because they're thinking kind of like me in that you can't get too emotional about it. But at the same time, they were having a good time with it. They were pretending as if they were any other network journalism. They were declaring states for Trump from time to time, and it wasn't entirely randomly, but it wasn't like any kind of thing that was official. But they would have this music that they would play and to jazz it up a little bit and announce. And they were dead on, I think, at the end of the night. But yeah, I went to bed about 3:30, so I had the TV on, but muted, and every now and then I'd look over. But one of the things they were talking about, because every now and then they would play video pieces of one or another of the mainstream media channels, and you would see the reactions. And I thought it was really interesting because there were no 4 a.m. talking points. These people did not know what was going to happen, or maybe they were told one thing and it wasn't what they thought. And I remember back to 2016, it was like that then with Hillary. And when she lost, her face, you could tell she did not expect that. And she was furious. But she came out and talked to her people that night.
Right.
If I remember right. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But some people were really offended that Harris didn't even come out and say, you know what, we're going to take a breath. We're going to get some sleep and I'll come out tomorrow and have a statement for you all. She didn't even do that. And so I posted last night that, well, she was a fine example to all those young women supporters that she has, because she wanted them to know that when you have a kicking and screaming childlike tantrum, you do it behind the scenes.
No,
there must be a higher hand. There's a higher hand controlling it.
I went to bed early that night too, because I thought there is no way, shape, or form that this thing is going to get fully counted or have any kind of a reliable result. For several days.
Yeah, that was their plan, I'm sure.
Yeah, I figured they were going to just keep screwing with it till they got the result they wanted.
They're still working on it in Arizona, as far as I know.
I can't believe that Mike Rogers conceded. I cannot believe that he conceded that to Slotkin of all people. It's just like, all right, let's actually, we should evaluate all of the candidates in the state of Michigan. And Chris Kyla, my buddy Chris Kyla, I love Chris. Chris was the one that did all of the investigation that everybody else took credit for. It was him, Joanne Bacali, and Sandy Kiesel, and the people at Election Integrity Force that did all of the election integrity stuff in 2020, plus the GBI strategy stuff. They're the ones that broke that. It was Chris Kyla that did it, right? Gateway Pundit took credit for it, and a couple of other people in the state of Michigan took credit for it, but it was him. And he texted me that next morning. He texted me, he goes, something is wrong. I'm like, you think? It's like something is seriously wrong here. And I think that we're going to have to do an investigation on this to see what actually happened. In fact, I was going to make a few calls today, not that it's my job or anything like that. I love it when people look at me and go, Brandenburg, what are you going to do? I'm like, I mean, it's like, okay, so what are you going to do? You know? Thank you. Hey, guess what? I've got a great son who brings me coffee. Woo. So thank you, son. So, what are you going to do? What are we going to do together? What are we going to do? And so I'm going to go back to this. Brandenburg, you need to run. And I've gotten some pretty heavy pressure on me to run for governor, again. And I'm like, okay, fine. But we're going to do it differently if I decide to add what I'm doing. I'm just sitting here watching right now, right? But anybody running for office had better do it incredibly differently than what it's happened, or you're just going to be a cog in the machine. That's all that it is. If it's not driven by we the people, it is not going to be an honest process. And so, I can't even tell you how many people came up to me and it was, you work for me. It was terribly disrespectful. I'm like, well, actually, I don't. In fact, I'm actually funding this myself. And the question isn't, what are you going to do for me, Brandenburg? It's how can I help you get in? If somebody wants a candidate to run, anybody that wants an office should never be given it. It's like you should not want an office. You should agree to do it if asked, but it needs to come from we the people. Everything is backwards, and we're going to have to fix this, or we are just going to get bad people in that are part of the system, top to bottom. If we want to have a judge in that's in place, then we should have a group of people that says, guess what? We really want this person in office, not coming from the candidate's campaign, coming from we the people that put a candidate up. That's how it has to be run, because the burden as a candidate. I mean, I saw this little goat rodeo going on here, you know, and it's backwards. The whole thing is backwards. If you want a good candidate to run, don't ask somebody to run and say, what are you going to do for me? You need to do this. You need to change. You need to have this message, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you just pick an honest candidate and get behind them and get a group of people and say, you know what? I really think that this person would be perfect for it. And get behind them and say, this is our choice. And then work to get them in. You cannot outspend them because it's the dark money that's putting our candidates in place. It is not the money of the donors that are the voting donor base. It's coming in from PACs. It's coming in from dark money. It's coming directly in from the corporations that these people
foreign companies, foreign corporations, foreign governments.
You bet it is. They're putting all of our candidates up. And if we want it to change, it's got to fundamentally change. The whole process does.
Maybe that's the message behind what's going on right now with the cheating and stuff like that. So it certainly, to me, is not working if it's meant to wake people up, because everyone I talk to is like celebrating, oh, victory, victory. I'm like, well, what about all these other races? They don't even have a clue.
The process is broken.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If we are convinced he won, why wouldn't we throw all this out in the light and prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt? And I believe the margin was much. How could Kamala get that close to President Trump? Statistically impossible. You know, how can we have like the gaps between how many people registered and the amount of people voting? It's absurd. Right. It's not possible.
We still have all the inaccuracies in the way that the voter rolls are put together.
Yes.
And unless we fix that, even if you think that you can celebrate this election, even if you don't see it as kind of a weird win-loss, even if you think this one was perfect, you don't fix the problem, you got the same problem coming up in 2 years. And then you got the same problem coming up in 4 years. And then you got the same problem in 6 years. And it has to be fixed.
That brings us back to Mike Rogers. And I remember John James, didn't he concede really quickly? Because if these people are going to concede in a race that they know is illegal, then we didn't want them in the first place. So I'm not grieving the loss of Mike Rogers if he accepts that loss, quote unquote, because he wasn't the guy that we needed anyway. If he's not going to stand up and say, oh, I don't think this is right, or it might be right that I lost, but I want to know exactly how much I lost by.
Well, and look at Dixon. Dixon conceded before the votes were even counted. I mean, let's go back and look at this. Look at this band of merry men that's going out there. It's like it's all smoke. It seems to me like there's an awful lot of smoke and mirrors out there, and we're still not getting to the core of the problem. We are losing our republic. And why would they, you know, it's like, so we got a win, kind of win, but even General Flynn says it, you know, local action equals national impact. All politics are local. We got slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to pacify us because everybody loves President Trump by letting him get in. Doesn't this like make everybody ask some questions? Why did they let him win? Did we outperform him? I don't know, because there's so much cheating going on. I assume we did, and I assume we did by a much larger margin. However, there's an awful lot of questions here. It's like, this would be like taking a company and saying, well, you know, we kind of got the numbers we want at the bottom, but everything above the number is wrong. Somebody wrote the number in, but that's the number we wanted to see. So we're just going to disregard the rest of the report and see if we can make this get through and people will shut up and go home.
Well, maybe it was too big to rig at the top, you know, for the presidency. You know, there would have been, you know, 400 million voters if they cheated there. But the down ballot maybe was their concession or their way of making sure that Trump doesn't succeed in doing anything.
If he would have won, it would have been grab your torches and pitchforks time. And if he hadn't won, are you kidding me? This nation would have gone absolutely nuts. Right. And because of the amount of support for him. And
I kind of disagree with that, though, because we have proven time and again that MAGA is not actually violent. So I don't think there would be riots in the streets by Trump supporters. I think they would have been really, if that's what you're saying, that's what it sounds like you were saying. I don't think that would have happened. And that's what a lot of people were saying. I'm like, no, it wouldn't be that. There would be a problem, but it wouldn't come out in that form.
There would be a problem, but I should have maybe used the different terms, but grab your torches and pitchforks, people would have been pissed. And I mean largely, the wake up call would have been, we've got a big problem, but I feel like it's look over here, not over here.
Yes.
Because we got slaughtered. And that's what I feel. It's like, I feel like that somehow they left that alone in an election where they're still flipping votes.
Yeah.
And such.
And if people can ignore all that just because they got one candidate in that they wanted, then they're not asking for a republic. They're not asking for a democracy. They're asking for a king.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're just repeating the events of 1st, 2nd Samuel and Judges.
I was going to say, yeah. People say it's going to be biblical. Well, when you ask for a king, yeah, it's kind of
yeah, may
kind
not
of
be
an old story.
what we're thinking here. We're hoping that Jesus comes back and makes things right, but we might just be shoved out in the desert for 4 years wandering around because we were not taking care of business. I'm sorry. We allowed a pedophile to be installed in the state of Michigan. Think about this. I'm concerned, and I have a lot of concern. I heard somebody yesterday say, I want you guys to think about this, and we really need to be thinking critically. I literally heard somebody say yesterday that they were talking about kids and teaching kids to be more comfortable, to be able to have confidence and such. So they need to be talking to, get this, I swear to you, I heard this. They need to be talking to adults they don't know because it will help them open up. And I'm like, what? I'm like, this sounds like a really bad idea considering the amount of pedophiles that are out there. So we're going to throw the kids out because it's in their best interest to talk to adults that are unattached adults, not family, not anybody they're familiar with. And I'm sitting here going, hold on a minute.
I don't do that with a puppy.
Don't talk to strangers, but talk to old.
You guys got to pause a little better because you're stepping on each other. So Kyle, go ahead. Or Ralph, go ahead, and then Karen.
Don't talk to strangers, but talk to only strangers.
That's exactly what was said. And I was sitting there going, boy, this sounds like in an era of pedophilia. This sounds like, somebody that is just opening up a bunch of high school kids to talk to strangers that they don't know. Are you flipping kidding me? I was absolutely shocked. And I'm like, stranger danger here. I'm pretty extra sure that we should be going for parents' rights, that parents need to be involved in this, not continuing this facade of breaking up the family in a time that the families are already being so distant. To get them to open up and talk. Are you kidding me? Who the hell are these people they're going to have them talking to? What's the check? I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm so old fashioned and stupid here that I can't even come to terms with this,
And that's why you were advising a school, because you don't know anything about raising children.
Yeah, clearly I don't know anything about raising children, except for I'm sitting there going, yes, we need to have all your kids talk to unattached adults, and that'll get them to open up. I'm like, wait, well, hold on. I've got a problem with this statement right now, and nobody's questioning this. And so I'm going to say the unpopular thing and shut that Brandenburg up. She's just not going to get along, you know? Crazy. So anyhow, well, I'm glad we're all on the same page here of wanting an honest election, because it can't be, we cannot go on the way that it's gone on. Can't do it.
Why hasn't President Trump said anything? Or Lara Trump or the campaign or anyone?
I really think what we need to do is, if somebody's in office like that, they need to be leading the charge and saying, if anybody wins an election, they need to be, and we've got as much cheating going on as we do, they're the ones that need to lead the charge and say, hold the phone. This is great. I accept. That's fantastic. But in my acceptance, I am going to drag this whole corrupt satanic system out into the light, and we are going to expose this top to bottom. He won. We know that he got the votes. He's the perfect one to say, fantastic, he got the votes. Let's check this all the way down the ballot and see what happened. Mm-hmm. Perfect. It's our guy. So,
well, the way the story is going, Trump's been on the phone with dozens of world leaders since he was elected. He immediately got to work, is the story that we're told. So that's why he hasn't said anything further about whatever.
Isn't that the kind of thing, though, that they criticized General Flynn for?
What?
Beginning diplomacy. Yeah, beginning diplomacy when the task was actually assigned, rather than waiting until it was way the heck further along in the process.
It's a violation of something.
Well, and maybe this is like an incremental win here that we're going to start out. I mean, he's talking about staffing. He's talking about doing all the right things. And maybe I'm just like jumping to the punchline here and let it work out, let the whole thing work out. So I think it's just good to be watchful right now.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I
noticed that.
Sorry, I think there's a little bit of a delay here between us. I think, we can be optimistic about the way things might be able to go. We can also look and see the way that things might not go, or alternate ways that they can go. And right now we need to be very watchful to make sure that they go in the correct direction. And if they don't, raise the alarm, but don't be blinded by just sheer optimism about, over optimism, I should say, about this is the way it's going to go without proof.
Yep. What I was going to say was that Trump was not doing diplomatic activity. Technically, I think he did have a visit with Netanyahu or somebody before the election, but he was really careful not to cross a line from what I had heard or read. So it must be that once he's president-elect and he has access, that he can have conversations. I'm guessing, because otherwise we wouldn't hear about him having like 70 phone calls or something like that.
Well, I would argue that for a proper transition, all of that should be happening with the president-elect. I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing. Otherwise, you've got an incredibly sharp transition on the day that they take office, which seems to me a little silly.
Yeah.
My point is that I don't think that General Flynn did that improperly, and I don't think President Trump is doing that improperly. Mm-hmm. It's just the distinction between the two actions shouldn't be there. I think they're both in the right in that.
Let's not forget, President Trump did say that if you cheat, we're going to get you.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to celebrating a minute here a little bit. And I want to bring up a podcaster that I very, very much like, Kyle Becker. Have you guys seen him?
Mm-hmm.
I might have.
I don't think I have.
He's a person that's going to throw things out there and absolutely make you think about things. So at any rate, interesting thoughts and such going on there. On my thoughts on Trump's massive election victory and where America goes, Kyle Becker. So there you go. So at any rate, guys, let's go ahead and last 30 seconds, because I don't know if I can get everybody else on here. I think this only takes 6. Let me see what I got here. I'm going to try to click people on, see if they jump on here a minute. I've got my next group coming on.
There were 7 on the Badlands Media the other night, so.
Oh, hey, I can do it. Hey, guys, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing great. How are you, Miss Donna?
Oh, awesome. Got my coffee, got my buddies here. It's a Friday, and all things good. So,
I'm going to fill up my coffee. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. Well, you guys can come and leave as you wish, but now I've got my citizen journalist panel on and American Security with Chris Deal, and we're going to go through some more of this because we were just talking about election integrity, and I'm going to be unpopular and say, I hate to say it, but we do not know what happened, and we got slaughtered in Michigan on the down ballot candidates. And I'm just really concerned that they gave us something to pacify us because they were flipping votes. And I believe President Trump won, but they gave us something to pacify us. And watch what they've done in the judicial races. I think we're getting slaughtered on the local level.
I agree. I saw the same thing. I don't know if you saw the New York Times maps where they had the little arrows showing the uptick or downtick and Republican or Democrat voters. Well, what I saw was an anomaly in North Carolina. Every county that got hit had an uptick in Democrat voters in a highly conservative area. I mean, they even came out themselves and talked about how that area is just a bunch of hillbillies that vote for Trump in those rural counties, but yet there was an uptick. And so what I think happened, this goes into the mining and the resources, and so they had to capture some of those votes to keep the Democrats in party there, to keep pushing this mining that's occurring in the area.
I really want to see President Trump be the one to initiate the investigation on the election, because if we're right, we're going to prove that we're right, and it's going to be something that nobody can contest. You know, if you're not afraid or you're not hiding something, and I'm not saying President Trump is. I love President Trump. I love him. I support him. I voted for him. But I believe that he won by such a clear margin. We should throw this thing out in the light and drag this thing out and make it honest from top to bottom of the ballot.
Agreed, because there's definitely, to me, a lot of anomalies that I'm seeing. And I do agree. When you look at some of these maps, it goes into the local levels for these, the governors and the state legislators and all the county officials to retain power that I think is tied to, what is it? The clean energy, the new Clean New Deal. It's all related to the resources. And I've even watched now, there's Patrick Harvey out of the UK is jumping on board with all of this now too, and slamming Trump. And you just look, and the common denominator between all of them that are doing this and all of these areas are the resources.
I myself believe that Donald Trump is going to, President Trump is going to expose some of the cheating. It's not anomalies, it's cheating. And when he exposes it, shows it through maybe Starlink, who knows? Then it is the justification and the cause to make the change to single day, machine the ballots, the way that we want it, the way it should be without the computers involved, without the access. So I think that's going to give him the justification to make the voting system correct. All you have to do is expose the cheating. You basically prove it. He'll do it nationwide. And he says, and for that reason, I'm going to initiate that. We're going to go back to single ballots, hand counted, etc. He's going to bring back. I believe he's going to bring back the voting situation that way.
So I have a question. Do you think it's more likely or less likely that he will have to wait until he gets back in office after inauguration to really put the momentum on that? Because he can't do so much right now.
Well, that was one of my questions. What can Donald Trump do legally as the president-elect?
Yeah, I believe he's in a position to be able to call for an audit on a lot of the races.
As a candidate, yeah.
Because I was looking at Michigan, Miss Donna, and when they called President Trump, even though AP took forever, I think a lot of us knew about 12 o'clock by just doing, simple math in our heads that Donald Trump had won. I called it about 11:20 is when I went on my platform and called that president had won. And everyone's like, oh, he ain't won. I'm like, you watch. I'm a smart woman. So I was looking at Michigan. And when all of that happened, around 12 o'clock, it appeared to me, as it did for, several hours, that Michigan was actually Donald Trump. Have they officially called him? Have they officially said Harris has won Michigan yet?
No, they said Trump.
They said Trump had won Michigan?
Yes.
I heard on Fox News this morning that Michigan hadn't been called for Trump.
Today on Fox News?
Mm-hmm. Or their little, how you go, Alexa, play me the news, and Fox News comes up in whatever internet thing. They had said that there were 4 states that haven't been called yet.
It doesn't matter. All the electors.
Oh, I know that.
Right.
So they're calling Michigan for Donald Trump?
That's what I thought.
What I thought too.
That's what I'm looking at right now. It shows 49.7.
Yeah, I see it now. I wonder why they said that. I wonder if I was listening to it.
But it's still only showing 99% reporting. So what is that 99% reporting? Because there's a lot of them that are caught up like that.
Let me see.
But then it also looks like Arizona and Nevada are still up in the air.
Yeah, they said those were the 2 other states, and then I thought they said Alaska, but I can't be sure.
It looks like Alaska, they went 55.5% Trump.
I wonder if they were playing an old broadcast or something. That's weird as fuck.
Well, guys, I should probably. I'm gonna have to get going. So, see ya.
All right, thanks for being here today, Ralph. You have a great day, and thanks for coming.
Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
See ya.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh, so I'm wrong. I apologize. I don't know why I thought that.
Well, you know what? This is a great thing to go through and be able to talk things out as real people and then confirm, look and ask our questions and then have it confirmed. Because if you just accept things hook, line, and sinker, you got a problem. You've got to go through that process. And if you've got anything that you're just curious about, ask the question and then chase it down. I mean, That is what we need to be doing, not just being sheep.
Detroit News says Trump wins Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, I see there's tons of, I wonder that's weird as shit. I wonder if they were playing an old broadcast or something. I don't know. Anyway,
and it may be on that thing that like the AP News, before everything's put in, they start putting in their projections. And so it may have like crisscrossed with the actual Michigan results.
Hey, Donna.
Yes.
Remember when they went ahead and you were running for governor, they put out all these votes on TV, what the results were, and then they pulled them back again. And they said, oh, it's just a mistake. We were just practicing on the computer.
Yeah, they actually published the results, and they were exactly. It was like about a week before the election. They published the results of the election, and then said, "Oh, we're sorry. It was on a bunch of different news sources, and they were all coordinated." And sure enough, when the election came around, it exactly matched those election results that they put out there.
So the other day, someone had done that for Harris winning some county or some state. And it was like 3 days before the election. They said they messed up. They were testing their equipment for election night.
Well, and I got to bring up a map for Michigan because especially Kent County, and I'm going to allege that Kent County, Ottawa County, Muskegon County is ahead of the snake here because of the political powers that be here. This is where GBI Strategies was really caught, was in Muskegon County. And then you look at Grand Rapids in coordination with the colleges, Michigan State and U of M and such, and how the servers that got tapped in the 2020 election were here. None of this has been prosecuted. We've got people that have talked about it, that know it and such, and we've got a paper trail that's a mile long. But I just think that we've got a lot more work to do than just saying, "Yay, President Trump won! Woo, yeah, that's fantastic!" Because I'm actually very happy you won. Let's get in here and just slog this thing out and get to the truth.
Yeah, we have, me and Melissa were talking about this yesterday. A lot of people are super excited. They feel like the job is done. We worked 4 years for this. And me and Melissa are talking like, no.
It just started.
When it starts.
Yeah. The work has just begun.
Yeah, we have an opportunity with Trump being in office now to really make some change. This is now where the work needs to come.
Yeah.
He can get it. He can do things on a national level, which is fantastic. But we need to be fighting this on a local level where we are calling for, say, like somebody said that yesterday, that candidate that is wanting to run for governor over in Macomb, because I was being pressured to run for governor again. That this comes up a lot, and I'm like, everything's backwards. They're like, yeah, he believes in making Macomb a sanctuary county, and I'm like, okay, we still have the communists that are still slogging away out there trying to take power. This is just the beginning, and there's a lot of things that a president can't do that a governor can, that a local group can do. I mean, this is the rats are still running the show here.
So I got a question. Let me tell you, or tell me how you guys think about this. So we all know that the Democrats are all like,
I'll be right back, guys. Keep going.
Okay. We all know that the Democrats are like, it's okay. You guys won. Congratulations. Let's work together. Let's be civil. Who actually believes that? Or who believes the opposite, that they've got something up their sleeve, they're going to pull something snaky, and they're not going to be civil, because we haven't seen them be civil the last 4 years. So why should we believe that now they're just like, oh, you guys won fair and square. This proves that our elections are not rigged. So and so. So who believes that they're going to be civil?
I do, and let me tell you, it's way too quiet, and their pattern of behavior and their actions over the last 4 years, this is in complete opposition to their track record. So yes, it throws some red flags.
What do you think, Chris?
Well, you have one theory where you could ask the question, well, being that they know what they've done, they know they tried to overthrow the United States of America. They know that they tried and did succeed at breaking many, committing felonies, treasonous acts. They violated their oath of office, and they attacked the Constitution of the United States. So right now, being that Trump won and looking at the map, and it is all saying the word Trump, you have the speculation that they might be thinking, I'm going to I'm going to go buy me 2 more deadbolt locks, put them on my door. I'm going to call my other democratic friend, and I'm going to ask them if they've gotten any knocks on their doors lately. They could be in a state of, shock and fear that they're going to go down. They know what the hell they did. They tried everything they could do to take this country from us, and now they lost.
Well, you can see that.
I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody that committed a crime and then got caught, right? But by the same token, there's that. But then I have like 10 other flags that came up, like Biden when he called and he said, and he invited Donald Trump over to the White House to talk about the peaceful transfer of power. That really kind of scares me.
I guess like walking into the devil's den.
Right. I got some free cologne. It's good for your heart. Here, spread that.
Right.
So that got me, and then the fact that it's really, really quiet right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaky. It is a freaky quiet right now.
That I gotta branch off. That could be freaky because that's not what we're used to for 4 years straight.
Yeah.
Of always being on the edge of our seat and wondering if we can buy groceries today. So it's definitely, there's been a cut, and so it makes me wonder, do they also have something up their sleeve? Because this is not their
MO.
Right, modus operandi. This is not them. This is not what they do. They don't know what good is. These are people that, so either they're trying to be as nice as they can, so they think that what they did was just political and they didn't really commit any crimes. It was all just to try to, retain the seats. But the other part of me thinks, something's up. Something's up.
What about you, Doc?
I think it ties back to California. Donna, I just sent that link. Now, California is getting on it really quick and calling a special session to be able to get things in place to block Trump at every angle. And frankly, not Trump, but the American people, if that's who he's working for.
The link isn't complete. Can you try that again? Because it says page not available.
I sent you some videos to your text message
Okay.
about specifically the one that talks about white women. I want you to play.
I'm going to text it to you, Donna, because I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know why this isn't going through. It's like I keep getting a page not available because the text, it's not going completely into the private chat.
But what do you think, Dr. David? Why do you think they're being so complacent?
I don't think they are. I think they're planning, and I think that they're calling on all the affinity groups to begin protesting this weekend, so we could see riots, cities burning, and I'm sure there's some sort of plan around that to call out National Guard or who knows what. I don't know, but it's too quiet.
It's too quiet.
Something's going to happen. Even President Trump is quiet. You think that he'd be all over the airwaves talking about the fact that they're stealing the down elections, right in front of our face.
So what I'm seeing on TikTok is you have a lot of Democrats that are calling for violence. They are blaming the white women for saying that we are the reason that Donald Trump was voted into office. You guys seen Sonny on The View call us uneducated?
Yes.
I sent Miss Donna a video where there's a woman, an African American woman, talking about when our husbands beat us, we get everything we deserve. They're shaving their heads. Yeah, that's in that video I sent you.
Do they not understand that when it comes to conservative women, it's not our men that beat us, it's our men that are usually scared of us?
Right. If a man puts his hands on me, husband or not, you're going to have some evidence that I was there. So it's really concerning to me how much they are actually playing on race.
Yeah.
Because that's all they have is division. They say, well, Trump was divisive. No, he wasn't. It's like that uneducated white women. I think what she was trying to say after that, and she got kind of talked over, was that she was quoting a poll. So the poll had uneducated white women, as I think what she was trying to say. But I think they've known for some time that it was quite possible that Trump could be elected. I think they really had to have known. So if you know that it's likely or possible, you would be preparing. Like we've been talking about off the grid for, I don't know how many months we've had that kind of segment. And so we all know that there was a likelihood. I think you also have to look at the CEOs, the people with the money behind the scenes. What have they been doing? Well, they've been having meetings. Their stock has gone down. The CEO of Moderna dropped one of his responsibilities. He's still the CEO, but he dropped marketing or something like that. So they are making changes because they believe that bad things are about to happen to them. So I'm like you. I think that there's on the one hand you can go, well, they're scared now. Well, I think they've always been scared. So I don't know why they're being quiet. I don't think they've had to have had plans in the background. I don't know. And then who's the they we're talking about? The little guys. The little guys have their own way of doing things. The big guys are gonna scramble.
Okay, I'm gonna put this video up a minute that you sent, Christina, and see if we can get this to come up a minute. Yay, really small. Sorry. Let's see if I can get it to go bigger. Here we go. I have skills.
My fellow Americans, we have a very serious problem. The Democrats and their hateful rhetoric has caused a lot of issues over the last 4 years. However, you have Democrats now that are actively disseminating for the assault and violence against white women because they believe that white women are the reason that Donald Trump got into office. White women, they're once again voting against your fucking interests. When your husband starts knocking you into the middle of fucking next week, I want you to take those black eyes and those busted lips as a personal thank you from Donald J. Trump each and every time you get fucking hit. Take it. Don't look for nobody else. Don't ask for fucking help. Take your beating. Now let's listen to Joy Reid from MSDNC. We have to be blunt about why. Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That if you can't flip enough white women lost their reproductive rights, but obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris. That women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. These are tweets. White women, you are permanently banned from the cookout. White women voting to take rights away from their daughters and grandmothers. Seriously. What the actual fuck, America? I am ejaculating in all white women that voted for Trump and let their racist ass parents deal with mixed babies they can't unalive. White women voted for Trump because they're comfortable in their spot in the patriarchy. I said what I said, stupid hoes. White women voted for Trump because
this is like, it's like, you know, this whole lost you, Christina. Now you're back. This whole thing, was it showing on the screen here? It was showing. Wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
This whole thing is gone on to, I got to say, these people that are posting these videos are probably the same people that are either paid or have an interest in being inflammatory towards the nation. Just like with BLM or Antifa and such, because I don't know. I know a lot of people that are different races and they don't have that feeling. So I got to wonder why.
Well, I thought that they may be paid too, and then I looked at their accounts and they have very low followers. So I'm like, you know, and a lot of those were they did a jerk emotion, you know, how that fear gets you, right? So they're, and I don't know if they're doing it for views or for clout or what they're doing it, but the problem that you have, Miss Donna, is when people start saying this, people that are easily influenced,
Yes.
especially when you have influencers, social media, you know, content influencers, they take on the opinions of those people, and then they perpetuate that in their daily lives to their friends and their family, and then you have situations that pop off that become violent, and that is my main concern with this type of racist rhetoric.
It's a mind virus. I mean, to look at
Yes.
this kind of thing that is absolutely inflammatory, and stop with the identity politics crap and look at each other as human beings, and not say, you know, it's like anybody that says that makes a blanket statement, I don't care what color they are, that our husbands are beating us, it doesn't matter, and we get what we deserve, and blah blah blah. Shut the hell up, you racist. I mean, that's what it is. It's so racist. It's so wrong. And it's so inflammatory. It's like, when are we going to give this up and stand together as one nation and just stop with this stuff? You know?
Yeah, it's definitely, they're definitely the party of hate. They always have been, all the way back to KKK and even before that. Nancy Pelosi hates it when you talk about her great-grandparents into slave. You got Joe Biden, whose mentor was a Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan. What was the Ku Klux Klan? They were a silent social group of haters that wanted to wipe out the black race. They wore Nazi insignias on their arms and on their hoods. And so if you take a look at where they come from, what their foundation is, and we've always allowed them in our government, in our politics. Why did we do that? That was fascism after World War II. That has the ideology of World War II. World War II may have ended, but the ideology succeeded, and it came through the South Americas, into the Americas, into the United States. We've got that hate group. We've got all the other hate groups that were devised by and organized by an organization. And this is all to, they're using this hate as a way to take over the country. And it's interesting how they took the hate from white to black and now black to white.
Check this out. So David and Jeannie sent this to me yesterday, and it's an announcement that came out. You want to talk about some of the nonsense that's going on and the mind virus in our colleges and such. I posted this yesterday. Shalaga, whatever you name, Shalaga Bora posted this on the 6th. Dear students, I'm canceling class. This is Michigan State University. I'm canceling class today to grieve the presidential election results. As a queer immigrant woman of color, I cannot in good conscience go on about my day like everything is all right. This is a major historical event that we are witnessing. I hope you take this time to take care of yourselves. I will post about the next steps regarding P3 soon, and I will see you in person on Monday, 11/11. Having said that, please know that no matter what your political beliefs, you are welcome in my class and won't be discriminated against in any way. Please reach out to me if you want to talk. Now, I'm going to tell you what I posted because I think this is absolutely disgusting. And to this point, I posted, and I'm sticking with what I said. This is a professor at Michigan State University sent out to students. This behavior should be on the poster. Oh, let me see if I can get to it again. Hang on a minute. All right. This is hard to run the desktop version of this, guys. Sorry about that. This behavior should be on a poster for weakness and patheticness, I'm going to add, when things didn't go their way. So when things don't go our way, we hold our breath, stay home and cope, using our personal tragedy to pass anxiety and weakness onto the students. Stick to the coursework, professor, you weak, pathetic professor. Personal weakness doesn't qualify as a badge of honor unless you're getting something back from pity points. And I just said, feel free to call the college and save the students from this mind virus. That it is literally saying, oh no, jump on my pity, because you know what? The most pathetic person should have everybody jump to their aid.
Play the first video I sent you, Miss Donna. It's liberal people literally freaking out. You know, they're shaving their heads now, right?
No, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all over. And so this goes into what the psychological term is of persecutory delusion, persecution delusion, I believe it is. And so this is when people are fearing ordinary situations, feeling threatened constantly, frequently reporting people to authorities, always in a state of extreme distress, and constantly seeking safety from others that they feel are a threat. Well, this goes into the indoctrination in our college systems. It's professors just like that are pushing this delusional beliefs into these kids. So they need to be held accountable. Frankly, these kids that are listening to them are mentally ill. And I'm questioning, at what point are we going to hold the DNC accountable for exploiting the mentally ill?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious with all this head shaving and everything else going on. That is a crime, isn't it? Why are we not reporting this at the state levels?
Well, the head shaving thing really throws me off, because this is what they do. It's called 4B. This is, that's not it. But that one, they're calling for the unalivement. Let me make sure you got it. But this goes, the Middle Eastern women are doing this because of their human rights. And these liberal women are making a mockery of it. It's the second to last video. The one right above the one that you just played about the white women, Miss Donna.
I'll put that up just a minute.
But they are doing that in the Middle East to protest because they don't have civil rights. And these liberal women talking about, well, they're not going to have no sex with men. I'm thinking, well, I don't know if that's your choice or theirs, but they're going to be celibate. They're not going to get married for the next 4 years. They're not going to have children so that our numbers go down. And I'm thinking, this is a level of mental illness I have never seen before.
So they're doing what we told them to do in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Well, not shaving their heads, but
we don't want to be producing more.
Yeah, bam, they turned into conservatives. Wow, they just turned them into conservatives. This is hilarious.
But if you play that video, Miss Donna, they are acting in an irrational manner that is very concerning, because they are easily programmable. So what if someone comes along and says, well, blow this building up, you know, for your rights, because Donald Trump got voted into office, or shoot this person in the head for your right. It's like, come on.
It goes further than that. Go ahead, Chris.
That's what they do with all the mentally ill, is they use the mentally ill. Once they make them mentally ill, then they manipulate the mentally ill to shoot children.
Yeah, they're using neurolinguistic programming and the mere exposure effect. What was your answer, David? I'm sorry.
I just said MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then look at all the other nonsense that's going on, because I'm hearing it all the time. It's like, it's the Chinese, it's the Arabs, it's the Jews, it's the this, it's the that. It's like, come on, people. This is crazy. This is the government, and they're all in bed together.
It's a very dangerous situation that they're creating. And now they're getting all these groups to start protesting. And, this time it might not just be bricks and, rocks and stuff and fireworks. It could be the real deal.
Well,
that goes into some other videos that I've seen pop up today on TikTok, and I'll have to grab them. But one thing I'm seeing is the liberal men are now telling all of the liberal women to go get pew-pews. And now you have videos of liberal women that, are these head shavers that are saying, I'm going to get myself a firearm and I'm going to bang any white man that I see.
Well, you look like a bunch of skinheads now. Just saying.
Well, that's exactly what I think that they're virtue signaling, because
there's the word.
They're gone. So now this is another way of virtue signaling and showing each other who they are. So maybe they don't shoot the wrong person. Who knows?
But I'm afraid that this is going to progress into just real violence.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we have enough smart, folks that work at a lot of our FFLs. When it comes down to it, and you have all these people coming in with shaved heads and blue bracelets to purchase a firearm, it's going to throw some red flags.
Oh yeah, the blue bracelet. Did you hear about that, Miss Donna?
No.
So the white women now, they don't want to be associated with women that may have voted for Donald Trump. So they're all wearing blue fucking bracelets. And you tell us we're a cult?
Yeah.
Right.
Play that shit. That stuff is extreme.
Well, hey, you know what? I'm staying in the and wearing cowboy boots cult here. That's what I'm doing.
None of us are stressed about the election, right? It's all, we all are gonna just go have the best life, the best days of our lives, right? I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. Done with all of this. Guys, we literally don't even have to panic. We literally don't have to freak out right now. We don't even have to fucking, we don't have to freak out. We don't have to freak out because it's not even real. Because, bitch, recount the vote! Guys, I just voted, and I chose family. End this reign of terror now. I chose family. I chose women. I chose America. I love you. We're moving on. I'm moving on. We're moving on. I love all of this. Let's do it. Let's do it.
This is crazy.
Oh, it gets worse.
Why show themselves acting retarded?
It gets worse.
It's an utter betrayal for anybody that is not a cisgendered white Christian. If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, fuck you. Fuck you. I don't want to hear about how shitty your life gets under his policies.
There's women. I have other videos, but this was the one I felt more appropriate to send. But there are women in their cars screaming at the top of their lungs, praying for Jesus to change this. And I don't know what the correct solution for this is. I don't think that there is one. But so if you talk about those, 10 people that you just seen there that came out on social media, what about the people that are not putting this on social media? That represents a pool of people. So it's not just those couple people. Those were just the ones that decided to get emotional and show it on TikTok. There are videos everywhere. Where is this going to go?
Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you film yourself?
Right?
Being emotionally distraught and
Well, it's not rational behavior, and that's the thing. I don't find any of that funny because the one person said the ultimate betrayal. Yes, you were betrayed. You were betrayed by your own government, and I'm sorry that you don't see that yet. But it's very sad, the mental illness aspect of all of this. What are we going to do with that? I don't know. We need some mental health help to a lot of people in this country. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of people who are considering suicide right now, and that's very sad. That's a big cost to our country because of what's been happening.
Okay, check this out. This is
Didn't you
sad.
say there was an increase in suicide the day after, Melissa?
Yeah.
Trans that can't put on makeup. Nice.
That's a man, right
Yeah,
there, by the
I know.
way.
Sorry for all the
Look
women.
at the lipstick. It's like, oh my goodness.
Good morning.
Good
It is
morning.
November 7th, Thursday. And got my lipstick on today, so I'm a little bit more together. We're putting this plan together.
A little more together.
I live in a country that voted for Trump. I cannot spend another 4 years under that man.
Bye.
So we have made the decision that we are leaving.
Bye.
Dear God, let him say that he's going to like Iran or something.
We're putting a plan together. Our plan is to go to Australia and buy back. That is where obviously Tam and our daughter Jordan was from. I'm working on immigration paperwork for spousal visa. I'll probably end up going over on a tourist visa initially because the spousal visa takes a while. I'll probably have to leave at some point and go to like Vietnam or Morea, and then come back to Australia, waiting for the paperwork to go through. But we're getting quotes on selling the house. We're getting ready. I'm getting quotes on moving boxes to Australia. We're getting quotes on moving our dog and cat to Australia.
Bye.
Can't do it anymore. Can't do it.
Bye. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Well,
Watch Australia not let them on.
I know,
I'm going to send
right?
that to my friend in Australia, my lesbian friend in Australia that does, she's completely against this whole, far trans thing. Most of them are over there. She's not going to be happy that they're coming there. They'll probably push back on them.
That guy right there was the Silence of the Lambs. You see him in that movie?
That's what that was. That's crazy. So if a lot of Republicans and MAGA are like, just relieved, like, oh, we did it. We worked this hard, we got here. I get that. The only thing we did so far was vote Donald Trump into office. We made it too big to rig. That's what we done. Okay. The process, I mean, look at the mental illness in this country. They used COVID and the mere exposure effect to do these to our children. And I'm sorry. And I'm going to say this as a blanket statement. That dude right there looks like a fucking pedophile.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that just goes back into deviancy, which has always been a problem. And now they have just blown it out of the water to normalize it. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. And that, I'm hearing when I talk to individuals that voted for Kamala and are upset about this, and I'm trying to explain to them, I'm like, look, you don't realize what has happened here. This is the people going in. This isn't about Trump. This is about the people going in. And this is like the door is now open. There's a lot of work to do. They don't want to hear it because all I hear is, well, I have friends that are in fear, that are fearing for their life right now. Okay, so why don't you stop blaming it on Trump and Trump voters and hold their hand and take them to therapy? Right. Because somebody going around constantly in fear is a clear sign of mental illness.
Yeah. But they celebrate that, Melissa. They celebrate that in their communities. That level of mental illness is a celebration. It's like they feel like some kind of accomplishment from that.
Yep.
It's so
and that goes
mind-boggling.
That goes back into the MK Ultra and everything they've done to brainwash all of these kids. They've brainwashed an entire generation, no different than Hitler.
Exactly.
A psychopathic, narcissistic behavior, and it's that has been. I mean, you take the Gates, you take these weirdos that tell us we're going to eat worms and like it. You got Al Gore, you got all these people who are driven by power, and it goes deeper than that. I mean, it's satanic, you know. It starts here. It doesn't start with the action. It starts in the head, and that thought has to go in the head. Well, when you take God out of something, there's only one other thing that's going to replace that empty vessel, and that's going to be Satan or one of his buddies, 8 of his buddies. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing something that's, I think, biblical in a very biblical sense. And I think that one thing that Trump should do is put God back in our schools so that we can take generations upon generations and get God back. Otherwise, we're going to be faced with the exact same thing again in the future. We have to put God into the heads of Americans. We all have to step away from what's sidetracking us right now, and we have to get back into God, because God is the only one that's going to fix this, not us.
Well, they've taken,
but we're not all that in a bag of chips.
they've taken God out of our schools, but now, did you know that they're going to offer in some schools classes about Satan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can't have God, because that would require you to have a moral standing and you know, just values, and it would teach you what is right and wrong. But by God, you can put Satan in there. How does that? And tell me this: why is it that when you testify in a court of law, you put your hand on a Bible and you raise your hand and swear to the good Lord that you're going to tell the truth? But yet we're not supposed to have God involved in our schools and our government. But yet you got a big seal that says, "In God we trust."
Yeah.
It's fucking hypocrisy.
So
The people are so programmed they don't see it, because they're not. People have lost the ability to think for themselves, and not only think for themselves, but critically think for themselves. Now they just buy whatever vile and bullshit is put in front of them, and the government knows that. They know how to do that.
They were the ones that did it.
Yeah, they started it.
Yeah.
And this isn't now. This goes back years. I mean, MK Ultra, the subliminal messaging, the programming of our youth, they've been setting this up for decades.
They've been attacking us from all sides.
All sides. Our bodies, our mental wellness, they're poisoning our bodies, you know, and our mind. They're poisoning the air. I mean, everything is poison, and it all goes back to a group of people, you know, old names, old money. That is, and this is not. They didn't just start last week. Like, oh, well, this is our plan. This is how we're going to do it. These plans are decades old. You can look at the Bush administration. You can see it in the Reagan administration. You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it. And, you know, I was looking at think tanks last night and kind of going through the timeline and the progression of them. And, you know, talking about this has been going on a while. You know, a couple that stuck out to me were, you know, there were not any more think tanks created from 1948 to 1961. And then suddenly you have the first progressive think tank, Drum Major Institute, that pops up in 1961 and then resurfaces, I believe, in 1991. So, yeah, I think, you know, going into those places, you'll see that some of these think tanks have had their, you know, tentacles in this and doing this for decades, like you said.
What do we do? What's our solution, guys? How do we combat this?
Local level.
George Soros, for example, was the one that Elon Musk found out was the funder, the one behind financially manipulate the way he found to manipulate our laws, not by passing laws, but by negating them, by not prosecuting the ones that break the law, and by rewarding the ones that do break the law and giving them a roadway with like no bail and stuff like that, like Kamala Harris did. She didn't think of that idea herself. No. That came from George Soros. George Soros has been a pivotal, functioning, funding person to the destruction of this country. He
I
needs
just keep hoping
help.
he dies.
He definitely needs to be at the end of a rope, with accountability, of course. I wasn't thinking that. I mean,
we're going to have to hold these. The thing that we have to do is that, and I think that I've become more and more strongly informed on this, is that the laws are actually on our side. But this nation is going to have to come together under God and do the right thing under all circumstances, and not just take the wins and say good enough because we won what we wanted. We are going to have to go back to the law. We have to know the law. We have to be able to follow the law, and we have to be able to hold them accountable to the law. Because if we go back far enough, it's like all of these nonsense, unconstitutional laws and statutes and such that they've written, they're illegal. If you look at them, they were illegally installed. The Constitution of Michigan was illegally installed, absolutely illegally installed. We need to look at this stuff and start rolling these things back and holding them back to the original intention, which goes back to the Constitution. And everything that was repugnant to the intention of the founders is going to have to be struck from the record. And we can do that, but you got to know that first. You got to know the law, and you got to know how to hold them accountable. Right now, we're so focused on these popularity contest races that we're ignoring the law, and we're becoming a nation of men rather than a nation of laws. If we do that, all the craziness stops. All the craziness stops. And our opinions end. We end the opinions. We go back to the law and the legal process and hold them accountable. If we have a bad judge in place, which pretty much all of them in our area were all installed because they ran unopposed. How come that nobody got through in the primaries or such? Well, you screw up. I don't care who you are sitting in the seat. We voted for the seat, and you are to fulfill your job description, your oath, and your obligation to us. And if you don't, we're going to sue you on a personal level and sue you to the point where you cannot ever be in power again. That's the only way to deal with this right now. It's extreme accountability. It's by the law. It's knowing the law and having the guts and the ability to be unwavering to follow it and not do a knee-jerk, stupid person's reaction about going to the streets like the other side's doing, and not being inflammatory. Because I'm hearing the inflammation or the inflammatory comments on both sides. Both sides are doing it right now.
I want to read you something while we're talking about laws. I think it was Melissa that sent this to me. It says RFK Jr. has launched Policies for the People, a platform enabling Americans to propose and vote on policies linked to the Trump team. Here's how it works.
And I love that guy. I love RFK Jr.
Oh,
I think he's onto something here big time.
Especially with the FDA. But it says to visit the website, create an account, and start proposing bills and voting on ideas, focusing on single issue proposals for Congress, establishing term limits for senators and representatives, banning artificial food dyes, offering insurance for holistic care, which we need to get back to because the earth is designed to give you everything you need. And that's in a health fashion as well. And then it says prohibiting TV drug commercials. Have you ever heard that TV drug commercial, TV drug commercials? It's for a hangnail, but it causes suicide and your fucking titties to fall off and all that crazy shit. Why would you do that?
Mine fell off a long time ago.
Oh my gosh. Chris,
what is that website called?
See this right now, Chris.
It's
I love you to pieces, but I'm glad you're not trans because you would be a very ugly woman.
I know.
Talking about Willa?
Oh my God, I love you people.
Okay, so it's forum, FORUM policysforpeople.com / so FORUM.POLICIESFORPEOPLE.com /
Thank you. It's a great
Now, I
idea.
think that's a great tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
great
going to put the link in the chat.
Because we really have to get our, MAGA, whatever you call yourself in this movement, to calm their tits and realize that this is just the beginning and that this is where the hard work starts and we need help. There are those of us, that are boots on the ground, the people and that are doing the investigations. And then there are, people that are sitting home that want to help, but they have no idea how to. So we really need to pull this party in. So me and Melissa are looking for like 5 to 7 people to be on a research team that want to do the work, that want to write the legislation, that want to be just badasses, and so we're looking for 5 to 7 people. Anybody out there that wants to help?
I would do that. I love this because it's like I've been writing.
You're already involved. We already counted you in.
Yeah, so I'm like by default there, but it's like I like writing the resolutions for the Constitution Party. That's what I've been doing, and I love it. I really love writing this stuff because you can sit there, and what we need to write is we need to write legislation to negate and to nullify. The first thing that has to happen is the nullification of all of these unconstitutional agencies, laws, a regulation, that sort of thing. It needs to go, and it needs to go quickly. Be gone with you vile usurpation.
Mute Chris. Look how handsome he looks.
Yes, he just Chris
I'd do that, but that wouldn't.
You don't know he's not on mute.
Yeah, you're muted now. So, but yeah, Chris is wonderful.
Donna,
I'm glad you're not a tranny because you would be very ugly.
Someone told me yesterday they thought I was a trans man. And I was like, I started shaking my boobs like, do these look manufactured?
These are real, baby. These are real.
These are all natural.
This is all me, baby.
But if anybody wants to help with the research, you can email me at thoughtcriminals1@yahoo.com.
You guys ain't right.
No,
I never claimed to be right.
Well,
actually, this is some disclaimer where I said I'm kind of fucked up in the head, of the perfect level of craziness.
Well, I've got mental illness too, so.
I ain't got enough mental illness that caused me crying and screaming on TikTok and near to all my hair. The first thing I thought of was I have my hair relatively long, just for religious reasons. I have some old beliefs about the Bible, so I don't cut my hair. I trim it and stuff when it gets ugly. But the first thing I thought of was, these women shaving their hair. Like, you don't understand what that means in the whole aspect of you should be proud of your hair, and it threw me the fuck off. I'm like, now you all look like skinheads.
Yeah.
Well, in 2020, when they stole the election, you should have seen me. Well, I was crying. I was burning. I took my bra off. I burned it. Oh man, I took all the wigs in my closet, and I just threw them in that little hole, that pit I dug in the bedroom, where I put that dog. And yeah, man, I just went.
I am shocked that
I took lipstick. I threw it all over my face, man.
I'm shocked that it was a man that actually created the brawl. Like, that's the dumbest idea. I don't partake in that situation too often.
You should.
No. But I'm a big girl, so when you get big girl and 90
then you really
weather
should.
And all that shit is sweating, nah, I think I'll pass.
You don't want to
There's
be
no reining it in now.
You don't want to be giving no black eyes and everything.
Completely off the rails here, but you're funny.
The same thing, Donna.
Yeah, you're funny.
I have a question for you guys. Just getting back to more seriousness. If there truly was, if there is put 10%, 20% of our population that is completely brainwashed and crazy. What's the solution for that?
You know what? I do a lot of conflict. I do a lot of conflict mediation with crazy people. And I mean crazy people, really crazy. And they'll come in and seriously, I have literally sat down at the table with people and I just know, well, this is going to be another circus for the day, but we're going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other. And one of the things that really does work when people are off the rails is to actually be the adult and not get into their craziness, but stay in control of the situation, of your own emotions and such, and talk clearly and plainly to them that these are the rules of engagement. And if you violate those rules of engagement, I will cease, first of all, to help you. And second of all, I will absolutely be someone that you will wish was never born on the fucking planet.
That part.
And so it is the, you know, it's like when somebody comes after you that's crazy like that, if you let them intimidate you or make you afraid in any way, shape, or form, you're not qualified to face off with them. Because if you're in the right and you're doing the right thing and you start speaking peace and giving them and say, oh, I see that you're really upset about something. And quite often I'll tell people, I'm like, why don't you just talk and I'm going to listen to you until you're done talking. And I let them talk and I let them talk and I let them be crazy and I let them talk for a while. I do put down rules of engagement though. I'm like, you don't get to call names. You do not get to do X, Y, Z. And I go down the list and I said, but I will listen until, and I will help you, but I'll listen. But most of the time when people are crazy, they feel like they're not listened to.
Yeah.
And as soon as you let them off your stress, you're kind of a quasi therapist at that point in time. And you're actually just letting them off their stress and say, how maybe we could look at this a different way. And it's like we have all gotten to the point where we're talking too damn much and not listening enough to each other.
2 ears,
so
one mouth.
They're not being listened to. And it's like, even if they're crazy, sometimes you let people who are crazy off their stress. And when they hear it, they realize how crazy it actually sounds. But these people that are yelling on TikTok and everywhere else, they're just offing stress into the universe. But there's no human touch there to sit there and sit with them until they get through the temper tantrum. It's like a child. You know, when you have kids and they're throwing a temper tantrum, you know, you kind of deal with it the same way. It's like, all right, throw your little temper tantrum and you look like an idiot now, but now let's get to the bottom of this and find out what the real problem is. And you know, propose solutions and such. I'm going to tell you, I was at the RNC and this guy was out there screaming at all of us who were going in there and calling us baby murderers because Christina was there and I was there. We were all there. And I went up to this guy who was sanctity of life, great, whatever. I don't care what your opinion is. I will listen to it, right? And I know where I stand on the issue. I believe in the sanctity of life. But the way he was going, he was accusing everybody in line of being baby killers. And I'm pretty extra sure that there are a lot of us, such as myself, that is not.
He's at the wrong convention.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's crazy. I mean, he was on that side and he was crazy. And I went up to him and I said, okay, I said, you want to be heard? I'm going to flip my camera on and I'm going to record you.
Oh, I got that video too, by the way. I
that?
was recording too. Remember, I was recording as well.
I was
found
recording
that video
him and I said, why don't you talk until you're done talking so people can hear your voice? And the voice of reason was there and he just kind of kept talking and kept talking. I didn't accuse him of being wrong. I didn't tell him that he was wrong on his point. I did nothing. I just let him talk and I recorded him. And I'm like, we'll listen until you're done. As soon as I got done recording, honestly, he put his sign away and he walked away. It was done. He was done because somebody just listened to him. I think we need to sit down with some of these people and actually sit there and become the healing part of their life. Clearly, they've got no one listening to them. They're just screaming craziness out into the world. And in fact, the last mediation thing I went to, I I had 2 sets of tenants that were totally in Crazyville. They came into the office with masks on, totally paranoid. I just put 2 bottles of wine on the table and went like this because I knew it was going to be absolutely come to nothing.
Wine?
It was going to be stupid. It was going to be a stupid argument. I put a couple bottles of wine on the table and I said, after they sat there and yelled and screamed for me, I said, how about you guys? I said, why don't we have a glass of wine after they got it out? By the time we left, they were all laughing and wanting to go out to dinner. And it wasn't because of the wine. It was because we sat down and I said, now, doesn't just feeling and being people talking to each other feel better?
Well, this could be, we're talking 3 to 6 million people.
Well, we got a lot of listening to do, don't we?
Some of them could be homicidal, suicidal, homicidal.
When we had the border convoy down, I believe it was January, February here in Texas. We had, the whole, I guess what they call the Christian nationalist group, and all the events that I've been to, they're not Christian nationalists. They are
paid for
federal. They're like CIA or something.
Yeah.
Because it's the same guys with the same garb, with the same signs all across the country at both liberal and conservative events. And they're instigators. And so at that event, they're out there talking about, all Muslims are bad and homosexual this and homosexual that. And they're standing outside the gate. And I'm like, that's not what we're about here. I would like for y'all to leave. And of course, they're in my face screaming. Well, by the time I got done, getting in their faces over their behavior and calling them out, the big Democrat bus that everybody was trying to shoo away was coming to bring me a beer.
I have that video, Melissa. I have the video when that person hit him with the Jeep. I actually told that dude. Whoa. I gave that dude, I told him I don't agree with some of the things that you said, but I'll give you 4 minutes on my platform to say whatever you want. That man went so extreme, I couldn't even put it on my platform.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized they were paid.
I had somebody that came on this week, and though he's got a good point, he came on and for an hour and a half said, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. And I'm sitting here going, well, you can't say that and say it's the Christians, it's the Chinese, it's the Arabs, it's the this, it's the Swedish, it's the Finnish, it's the Swiss, it's the Brazilians, the Venezuelan. I mean, let's just like divide this up and chop it up. I mean, I'm pretty extra sure it's the governments of the world that are working together to screw all of us.
Yeah.
That is one thing actually with this election that is beneficial, because the Trump voters crossed all the barriers. They were different races, different cultures, et cetera, and that shuts down all the division there. And it also proves that the Democrats were wrong to accuse the Trump supporters of being the party of division.
Well, you know what I always say to that when people say, Trump is dividing the country. Actually, if you look at the MAGA movement, Trump has united this nation in ways that I've never, I'm only 40 something, 3 maybe, that I have never seen in my lifetime. You gentlemen can tell me because you appear just a couple years older than me. But you can tell me if you've seen anything like this before.
Oh, of course not. I mean, that's how they stay in power, the politicians, is by dividing.
Right.
So
maybe the solution would be that we start creating programs within our own communities for these people to come to, and just interact with other people. I am not a mental health professional, but I have been through a lot.
How about we just act as friends? I mean, my God, why don't we forget the therapist and just sit there with a buddy and talk this stuff out? I mean, honestly, I could sit down with any of you guys, especially Chris, who's not right most of the time. And, Chris and I are friends, so I wouldn't talk, right? But it's like, I could sit down with any one of you guys, and after 2 hours, we would be laughing and the world would be great and things would be fantastic. And we're paying these people for what? To tell us what to think? I'm sorry. I mean, get a friend, and I mean a real good friend, one that'll sit with you, whether you have a good day or a bad day or something, and then be a friend. But I digress. That would be way too simple, right?
Well, I don't know. I think that's a great idea. If we were just to create some kind of program where people had someone to talk to, I think, that would be great. They have those professional huggers, right? You pay them to come hug on you. Like,
how about we just, I don't want somebody hugging me that I don't know. That's kind of
I'm
crazy.
just giving that as an example that's what people need is
therapy.
Right.
That's like a hug whore. I don't want a hug whore hugging me. It's a hug whore, right? I want a friend that's just weird.
But the same concept could work as far as mental health as having, because I don't know with this online stuff, I don't know how many people actually have friends that they can, go to or, call and stuff. So these people may be severely isolated. We don't know what the situation is, but we recognize that there's a situation and we have to do something about it. Otherwise, the equivalency to, not equivalency. So the likelihood of something severely happening in the violence way of an innocent people being hurt because of it is extremely high. So I think that we should be creating programs. And I think what you said, Miss Donna, you don't have to have a degree. You just have to be willing to be someone's friend that you wouldn't be friends with before. And that will probably teach you things.
Infectiously friendly. Go out today and be just infectiously friendly. And say, hey, how you doing? And mean it when you say it. Don't just blow smoke, okay? Yeah, don't you? I had a situation years ago. I love my friends from the South. You're hilarious. You're absolutely hilarious because Michigan, we get the point fast, right? And I was somewhere and I'm like, so we were saying hi and I say, how you doing? I got a 20-minute explanation from my Southern friend on how they were actually doing it. And I'm sitting there going, you really don't get it from people from Michigan say, how you doing? But most of the time it's just a way of saying hi, right? But it was a great lesson because if you say, how you doing? You should say, no, really, how you doing? And then listen.
Well,
I had somebody do that with me once. I probably told you that story. And I had a bad experience with a family from a church congregation. And basically, they kicked me out of the house. I was staying there for a seasonal position for a short time. And they kicked me out of the house because I violated one of the house rules. But it was so minor. It was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't feel comfortable sitting up front with them in church anymore. So I sat in the back. And I have no idea what they were telling everybody else, but my demeanor changed dramatically. And because of what I was seeing, now the veil is lifted, I can see what's going on here. And one man who I didn't know very well came up to me and he said, "How are you?" And are you okay? That's what he said. Are you okay? And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "No, are you okay?" And it shook me because he really meant it. He could see something wasn't right. He knew what I was like before. He knew my behavior had changed and he cared. And that I don't remember what I said or how much I interacted with him later. I didn't know him really well. I wasn't going to spill my guts to him. But I remember that moment years later because it stood out to me as somebody who reached out and cared, just as simple as that. But, Donna, I think one of the other things that we should keep in mind with RFK Jr. and the health issues, there may be some easy processes, cures, if you want to call it that. I mean, if we can cure cancer, we can solve the energy crisis in a very short time. If we can hear and have access to the real things that are available to us, there may be some simple solutions already in place for these mental health issues, and we just don't know it yet, but perhaps they're just waiting to be spilled out.
That is true.
That's interesting.
So I do have my degree in psychology, and what I see is a lot of this goes into paranoia, and it looks like this election has triggered a lot of those with paranoia into a state of psychosis. And when talking about what we can do, a lot of times that's going to go into some serious medication and therapy. But as for what the public face can do, You know, there are like, you know, digital resources, you know, things of like helping to people visualize their worries and to slow down their thinking and to start talking about healthy coping skills, because they have been so indoctrinated and taught that these unhealthy coping skills are normal and accepted. They don't know any different. So maybe something on coping skills for these intrusive thoughts and emotions would be something that we could do.
But the problem is they don't think that anything is wrong with them because society is telling them that this is acceptable. So how do you approach that when someone doesn't recognize that they're fucked in the head?
I mean, frankly, at this point, I mean, I would say if this is somebody that is under the age of 18, then child services or somebody needs to be called in the concern. I don't know. Because it's not healthy.
Child
I
services.
don't advocate for
I
child
don't
services.
know. I mean, in Texas, I'm like, I could do that in Texas, but New Mexico, that would be a bad idea. You know, Texas, like I can get in the middle of that one. In fact, I'm looking at potentially going and getting a job with child services just to get in and clean the, you know, shithole out myself.
Yeah, I'm like really suspect of that right now because they're taking kids as the largest child trafficking organization in the United States, a CPS HHS. You know, there's got to be something out there, but right now it's so bad and so dirty. I wouldn't even want kids 5,000 miles from those organizations.
I mean, it's like, how do you, I mean, this goes back to how do you hold those accountable that are frankly just exploiting and abusing the mentally ill? There has to be something out there for that we've missed.
Yeah.
Chris doesn't know he's trying to say something and he doesn't know that he's muted.
Because I got to go after this. But I want to say, how can we possibly fix what we're talking about by using the very system that has created the problem? I mean, they've taken they've taken our Constitution and they've abused it. They've taken capitalism and they've totally abused it, where they are making money on your problems. Take the mental health situation. They make great listeners out of these people, and all they're doing is making money. They're not fixing anything. And that's mental health, physical health. Physical health, all they're doing is treating your symptom. They're not providing a cure. So why would we go to them for a continuation of corruption? So we first have to fix our system, and then we can start helping the people.
Yeah. Well, we got lots of questions here today.
We got to pull our own weeds.
Yeah, we do have to pull our own weeds, and yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a slog getting this thing figured out. It's not over. We just started, but I'm gonna go to prayers right now, guys. It's 11:30, and it's time for a break in the day. But all good comments for everybody, and I love the ideas, and I love, you know, quite honestly, I like all the approaches need to be explored. But I would love to see something on the outside of that system, Melissa, and burn what we've got right to the ground because they have broken the public trust. We're going to need
absolutely
that goes to politics, you know, all of it.
Sorry, I can't hear you right now. I think that goes into what we all need to really look, what is our next role in all of this, right?
Right.
And really pray about it. Like, you know, I've been putting resumes out in the think tanks and I'm looking at child services. It's like, you know, to fix it, we may have to be the ones to get in there and dismantle it. Nobody else is going to do it for us.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for bringing us all together today to try to figure out exactly what you want us to do and how this thing needs to be fixed. But first and foremost, we want to go back to one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, and extend that also to the care of your entire world. We're here to serve you. It's your sandbox, and it's your rules, and we're willing to play by your rules and do exactly what you tell us to do. Just be really clear. We're kind of dense sometimes. We don't quite always get the right information or the information right, and it's our fault. It's not yours. We've messed this up. Not your fault, but we're willing to work to do what we need to do to make things right. Thank you so much for every single person on here and everyone who's listening. Help us to give each other grace as we're trying to muddle through this fog of war that we're in our dedication to you, our love for you, and our love for each other. You're a great friend to us, and we want to be a friend to you. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So here we go, guys. God bless you all.
Amen.
Well, wait, I gotta go to that part of the show, boys and girls. Go to
Ding, ding, ding.
BrandenburgForGovernor.com because I'm the best non-conceiver who's ever not conceived in the history of the United States of America. And I'd like to talk to the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, about that in cowboy boots. So there we go. And so God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Have a great weekend. Make it so. If you don't have a good example, if you don't know the answers, just be one and let's get in there and walk forward together where we slog this thing out and figure out how to fix the United States of America. And in all things, be grateful and know that he's walking us out of that. And don't worry about it. If it seems a little confusing, if this is going to come to a conclusion, you don't have to be afraid.